News now from Jammu and Kashmir, and there was pandemonium in the assembly today with the entire opposition trying to disrupt the house. Members stormed into the well, and the protests were over the beef ban, tax on Vaishno Devi pilgrimage, as well as failure of the government over rehabilitating flood victims. What you're seeing now are shots coming in after the house had reconvened. Earlier, MLAs nearly came to blows, and marshals had to prevent them and separate them. The house was adjourned for 15 minutes. Now it's been reconvened, and these are the live visuals that you're getting. Once again, opposition members in the well of the house.
Honorable Speaker sir, मैं आपके माध्यम से GOVT मिनिस्टर साहब से पूछना चाहता हूँ, पहले तो मैं उनको मुबारकबाद पेश करूँगा।
Today, unfortunately, our protest, if you want to call it that, was against the dictatorial practices of the Speaker. Why this Chief Minister is so keen not only to disempower himself, but to disempower the legislature. When the High Court in J&K had said that this legislature is free to bring in any bills or amendments to the Ranbir Penal Code, why this government felt the need to approach the Supreme Court.
But state government is saying there are two, judgments. They are not contradictory, but they are differing.
They're not contradictory. There are differences, but even that can be resolved in the Assembly. Even that can be resolved in the Assembly. What is the need to go to the Supreme Court? Clearly, they want the cover of sub judice so that the bills that are being brought in as private members' legislation, they can be rejected and this government can survive. This government is ready to disempower itself to the fullest extent possible, so long as they can remain in office.
So is it clear that you will not allow the functioning of the House unless this urgent motion is discussed?
We want to be heard. We want to be heard. We have come to this House to be heard. If we cannot be heard in the right way, which is to be called upon and asked to speak, then unfortunately you are forcing us to the wall. You are forcing us to adopt tactics that we don't want to adopt.
All right, let's go across to Nazir now for more. Nazir, you were speaking to Omar Abdullah, but a host of issues being protested, including a tax on pilgrims at Vaishno Devi.
Yeah, exactly, and there are multiple issues, and the beef issue is one of the biggest, and also the tax on helicopter services for the Vaishno Devi pilgrims here. It is only for the helicopter services tax from them, and also the government's failure on the rehabilitation of the flood victims of last year. But as the House was reconvened after first adjournment, there was a lot of pandemonium erupts, literally erupts in the well of the House. Members jumped into the table of the Secretary of the Assembly and were literally dancing, shouting slogans, tearing off papers, adjournment motion, national conference. Moved today demanding a discussion, but Omar Abdullah says, saying dictatorial attitude of the Speaker, and it's not the first time he's attacking the Speaker, and he's also accusing Mufti Muhammad Saeed for disempowering the legislature and the political parties here by going to the Supreme Court and creating what he says diversion to solve this bill. He said, what was the need? There was no contradictory view on in the both branches of the J&K High Court, which have heard this issue. Why did the government go to the Supreme Court? They want to solve the bill. So clearly, this session is expected to be stormy, and the opposition is going to corner the government in the Assembly. Omar Abdullah said that the government is forcing them to solve the House, the proceedings in Kabul. They have come here to be heard, but they are not ready to hear them. Unless they hear them, they are not going to allow the House to function. But the way it is unfolding, it is playing out in the House. Members storming the well of the House, then jumping onto the table. And in fact, in the first meeting today morning, members almost came to blows, and they were prevented by the marshal. It was an independent MLA engineer raised slogans against the BJP. BJP members came out and they tried attacking, and they almost came to blows, but marshals prevented them. So clearly, ugly things were the issue of beef, were the issue of tax on the helicopter service of Mata Vaishno Devi pilgrims, and also failure of the government to rehabilitate flood victims.